build the network and know that growing as a community is likely going to be faster, more impactful, more purposeful than trying to grow your business by yourself. So whether you have a business that's 5 people or a business that's 50 people, there's likely, if it's 50 people, there's likely another 200 people around that are peer companies that you don't necessarily compete with. There's associations, there's your local community, there's regulators, depending on what business you're in. I think there's all sorts of people that you can build a network and become an important source or important part or piece of that community that will help you grow. And what they'll do is they'll bring you business. If you can help sort of, again, be a resource for them, they will be a resource for you. And I think that's probably the easiest way. If you have a low marketing budget, you have a little amount of time and you're really bootstrapping it yourself, I think finding ways where you can scale out the knowledge and awareness of your business, that's one way to do so.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7- and 8-figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. You ever need help with yours? Just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Now, today we've got another great guest on the podcast, Ryan George. And Ryan started out his journey as an overachiever in high school, excelling with grades in athletics and learned the value of a team. And then went on to the University of Texas and went into public relations, graduated, but it was a tough job market and started working for a mutual fund company. I think took 32 interviews and then before landing that. And then him and his wife had a long distance relationship for a period of time, or at the time. And so in 2012, got married, changed jobs, moved to be where his wife was at, and then started a new job with a mutual fund and did that for about 8 years. And then that business was sold around 2019. And then around 2020, a business that he was working at took over the ownership of DocuSpace, and he moved over there and became a shareholder of the business. So with that much as an introduction, welcome on the podcast, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely excited to have you on, and look forward to a great discussion. So with that, I took a much longer journey and condensed it in the 30-second version of it. But why don't we rewind and unpack that a bit and tell us a little bit about how your journey got started being the overachiever in high school.
Sure. I think I really just got lucky. Having smart parents and having the ability to have good teachers and have people who are pushing you. I think that combination at an early age is actually one of the more beneficial long-term things you can ever have with somebody supporting behind you, as well as having high quality teachers in front of you, which I know not everybody has access to. And I think that's something that I feel really blessed with, is being able to have good teachers at an early age.
No, it's certainly, it's helpful when you can have that, both that guidance and that mentorship and be able to do well and to achieve a lot of things. That certainly sets you on a great track. So you went in high school, focus on grades, focus on athletics, learn the value of team, and then you went off to University of Texas and studied public relations. Is that right?
Yeah, it's actually a funny story. So I really wanted to get into business school at UT. You go through the application process, and I didn't get it. I was looking at my application and looking for other alternatives, because you had to submit, your primary one you wanted to get into and a second, backup choice. And I thought, public relations, that sounds cool. And so I circled it. Turns out when I got there, I found out that it was like a top 3 public relations program in the world. And they only accepted like 50 people a year. So I somehow back-ended my way into like a very high quality, high caliber program without it really being like my dream. And then I realized pretty early on that it actually fit me well. It fit my personality well, it fit my skill set well. And so, that's one of those things that sometimes, like, if I was to do it over again, I don't know how I could replicate the luck that I just magically had come my way.
No, sounds like it was whether it's luck or fortuitous or destined to be or whatever it was, sounds like it worked out well and was a good opportunity. Now you went into that, found that you enjoyed it and were passionate about it. But then as you're coming out of the program, sounds like maybe timing wasn't always the best, or it was a bad time of to be in the job market, or
Well,
kind of walk us
well,
through a little bit of that.
I made some people would say mistake. Some people would say wise choice. You can let the audience decide whether which is true, but of not working too much in college. So I worked hard at school, and then I had fun the rest of the time. And so when it came to applying for jobs, I was not. I probably wasn't the most hireable candidate. The economy was, I graduated in 2005. The economy was somewhat on skids at the time. Not like financial crisis time, but it was somewhat that way. I also just wasn't prepared to be the professional that I was. So it took some time. I remember, I'll never forget the first interview I had while I was still in school. I sat down and they said, "So tell me why you want to work for so and so." And I said, "Huh," because I didn't know the answer. I didn't know why I was even in there. And so that was a lesson on the fly of, oh, you need to be better prepared for interviews. And so that was the first time and only time I made that mistake.
Hmm. No, and that's one where my answer would have been because I need money, or I need to make a living and pay off all my student loans. But that would be a horrible answer, and they would say no, thank you, and we'll move on. But no, so you came out and said, okay, maybe didn't have the initial experience, but continued to work on it, get the experience, get that in place, and now as so I think you said you went through 32 or so different interviews and job process.
Yeah.
Finally got that landed and landed that first job and doing mutual funds. And how long did you do that for?
So I worked for a mutual fund company for about 8.5 years. So I started off answering phones just as a rep. That taught me a lot. Taught me a lot about thinking on my feet and actually, getting prepared and doing research. Then I moved into PR. So that was my first PR job, and I had one of the things that is also sort of a grace, stroke of luck is I had happened to work for a CEO who thought public relations and media and all that was very important. So I had sort of buy-in from the top in order to get people behind the strategy and had a long history of working with the media. So I got to learn how to hustle fast, got to build a network, within that company, within the media at the time. And it really taught me a lot about sort of how the business works, how to be valuable, as a public relations person. I think what people sometimes miss is how do you, solve problems for somebody, journalists or somebody's coming to you because they need a piece of information. How do you be the one that can provide that a piece of information most accurately, most interestingly, and as quickly as possible?
No, makes sense. And so you did that now 8 years. Sounds like it was a good position, enjoyed it, and was doing well. Now, if I remember our conversation, kind of was also carrying on a long distance relationship with your now wife, and that necessitated or prompted a change or adjusting kind of what you were doing and the direction you're headed.
Absolutely. So my wife and I did long distance. She was in the Dallas area. I was in South Texas. We were able to, I knew pretty early on she wasn't that interested in moving south. So, I saw it as a career opportunity. Dallas is, bustling, huge business area, more so than San Antonio. So it actually turned out to be a really strong career move to move north. And so in May of the year we got married, I got married, moved, changed jobs, moved in with my wife, all in the same 3-week period, which was an interesting point in time. I would not recommend doing all 3 of those or 4 of those all at the same time as a strategy. I would try to spread them out just a little bit more than I did, because it caused a lot of upheaval in life. But it was a good reason to move. I ended up working into a broker dealer, which is a business that serves financial advisors. We were specific within the accounting CPA space. But I ended up, again, I applied for a job. I got a job because I needed a job and thought, hey, I'll be there a year or 2, and then, I'll move on to something else. Turns out I was there for 9.5 years. So, just one of those things that happened to be the right place for me. I got to work for the right leadership that I believed in. And, that was, again, we're seeing a trend here. I think if I've done anything well in my career, it's been able to find and work for leaders that you can trust in businesses that I think are worth working for.
No, sounds like it's interesting. Sometimes we think it will be just something quick or temporary as you find something more permanent, and that temporary oftentimes becomes the permanent. And so now
Yeah.
you work there for I said or you said a considerable amount of time, several years. I think around 8 years or so, and then I think when
Yeah.
we talked before, 2019 comes around, and
Sold
they
that
ended up
business.
selling the business.
Yeah, we sold that business to another peer in the industry. The buyers had a different idea of what they wanted to do with the marketing department, with their team. So they, let me go. And then I made another short stint at a mutual fund company and ended up at DocuPace, where I am now. So I was brought on by the president of my previous company, who is now the CEO of DocuPace is today. And so he, needing help in marketing, reached out, and once he took the CEO role, and reached out, and we've been on our path to growth ever since.
No, makes sense. Now, walk us through a little bit. What is the business? Kind of, is it still, because you were in mutual funds for a long period of your career, and I think there was a bit of a shift or an adjustment there. So kind of walk us through a little bit as to how you settled on what it is and kind of what you guys do.
Yeah, so my entire career is sort of fallen into the wealth management financial services vertical. It started off in investments, which is mutual funds. So creating products and selling those distributing those products. At the broker-dealer space, it was working with financial advisors who they're the ones that would either advise or purchase the products that had previously sold. And now I work for a technology company that actually enables the operation side, all within the same wealth management space. If somebody was to buy an application for those mutual funds through a financial advisor, they would do so with our technology. So I've sort of, my career has followed this path where I've had just different perspectives on a similar business, given the role within the company I work for.
No, makes sense, and sounds like a good place to land. So now you came into the business, or had the relationship, and then it sounds like you as you were to continue to settle there and continue the business or expand and grow, you became a shareholder and took on management or other additional roles. Is that right?
Yeah, so that's one of the key things I think that's different. In the role I have today is being chief marketing officer means I not only am responsible for the marketing areas of the business, but I'm also responsible for, as an executive of the company, which means I need to help HR be successful. I need to help sales be successful. I need to help our product team be successful. And so I think I have been lucky enough to rise to a level in the organization where you really think about the business versus your department, and you think about the health of the business and the position of the business. And I think that's how to drive growth and value in the business, and not just marketing the business, because that's just a piece of what my time is spent doing.
No, so makes perfect sense. And now you've been there since 2020, so about 3 years, and kind of been able to expand in your role and take on additional responsibilities and continue to learn and grow. So now, as you're catching up today, walk us through a little bit of how did the business go? Was it a rocket ship to the top where you guys just had more money than you knew it raining down from the skies, or was it teetering on the verge of bankruptcy, or somewhere in the middle? Or kind of how did the journey go as the business got up and running, and as you transitioned into the responsibilities?
Sure, that's a good question. So the business was, last year we celebrated our 20th anniversary. So the way I like to think of it is we are somewhat of a 20-year startup in terms of our management team is different. We've overhauled, or in the process of overhauling, our product and platform, and overhauling the way that we work. So we're, in a lot of ways, you could qualify as a turnaround, but the company was doing well. So I don't want turnaround may have a negative connotation to it. We're adjusting and shifting to the future market that I think that we need to serve the clients we serve today, as well as expanding and to do so. And in order to grow our business fast and effectively and efficiently, some of it means like being more Scrum, tied into more Scrum and Agile processes on our product development, getting a better cadence of discussion within our users to make product innovation based on user feedback. And a lot of things like that is really just sort of maturing or modernizing the way that we operate our business in order to be successful. The good news of that is that has continued from a marketing standpoint, has been able to put us in front of bigger and like enterprise clients. So deal size is continuing to grow. We're trying to, we also want to focus on, how do we get initial interest, turn initial interest into a client faster, so it didn't not such an extendedly long sales cycle. And that's a lot of stuff we focus on. But we've been, growing our business at, will be our 5th year of double-digit growth. Actually, excuse me, this will be our 6th year of double-digit growth when we hit the end of this year if we continue on our same trajectory. So we've had a really, I wouldn't call it a hockey stick or a rocket ship. I would call it just a consistent level up each year.
Awesome. No, sounds like it's been a good progression. Continue to see your year-over-year success and the good direction to be headed. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
So
my daughter's a big train fan, so it's more of like a, I think I can type of growth.
absolutely. No, that's great. So well, with that, now as we've kind of caught up to the present day of the journey and even hearing a little bit about maybe where you guys are headed, great time to transition to the 2 questions I always ask at the end of each episode. So we'll jump to those now. So the first question I always like to ask is, along your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made, and what'd you learn from it?
I think the worst business decision I ever made, was being a bit too proud of myself. And when I say that, meaning being a little too cocky, a little too brash, a little too eager, and naive in terms of knowing how business works. And that would be definitely early in my career. I think when you have initial success, you think that everybody should be working at the same pace or everybody should be doing the same thing you do. And I think that's not exactly how things work out. And so I think one of the things that I was lucky enough to stop myself from burning any bridges, but I do think if I could go back, I was probably a little bit more of an arrogant person than maybe I should be. But I think hopefully most of us, as we get older, think back and think, and have modified ourselves to be better today than we were yesterday.
No, makes sense, and sounds like a great mistake to learn from, and a good one to make. So second question now that I like to ask is, so now if you're talking to somebody that's just getting into a startup or a small business, what would be the one piece of advice you give them?
I think build the network and know that growing as a community is likely going to be faster, more impactful, more purposeful than trying to grow your business by yourself. So whether you have a business that's 5 people or a business that's 50 people, there's likely, if it's 50 people, there's likely another 200 people around that are peer companies that you don't necessarily compete with. There's associations, there's your local community, there's regulators, depending on what business you're in. I think there's all sorts of people that you can build a network and become an important source or important part or piece of that community that will help you grow. And what they'll do is they'll bring you business. If you can help sort of, again, be a resource for them, they will be a resource for you. And I think that's probably the easiest way. If you have a low marketing budget, you have a little amount of time and you're really bootstrapping it yourself, I think finding ways where you can scale out the knowledge and awareness of your business, that's one way to do so.
No, I think that's great. And I think, having that network around you, and that's whether it's coaches, mentors, friends, colleagues, whatever it is, can much or be very beneficial, to accelerate it or your business, as well as to have people to bounce ideas off with, people to assist you along the way. And I think everybody is generally wanting or rooting for your success. And so I think that's a great piece of advice and a great takeaway. Well, now as we wrap up the episode, if people want to reach out to you, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
The easiest way to find me is probably where I spend the most time online, is LinkedIn. So if you go LinkedIn /RA George, you'll be able to see my smiling, happy face. And, send me a direct message or send me a connection, and I'm happy to hook up.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage people to reach out, make a new connection. If nothing else, make a new best friend. So with that, thank you again, Ryan, for coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you, the listeners that are out there, if you have your own journey to share and you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, we'd love to have you. So just go to inventiveguest.com, apply to be on the show. A couple more things as listeners, make sure to click share, subscribe, leave us a review. Helps us to reach even more startups and small businesses along their journey to success. And along that note, if you ever need help along your journey with patents, trademarks, or anything else with your startup or your small business, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Well, thank you again, Ryan, for coming on the podcast, and
Thank you,
wish the
Devin.
next leg of your journey even better than the last.
You have a good day.